Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me, your host, Tommy Gilbert, as we take a seat at the table with coaches and student athletes to get a behind-the-scenes look into Titan athletics. From in-depth breakdowns to fun stories, you can catch it all right here on Titan Table Talk. Hello, Titan fans, Titan family. Welcome inside the Ames Library podcast studio for week 9 of Titan Table Talk here in the fall of 2024. We'll start here in just a minute by talking some women's hoops with Maya Smith, and then we'll talk to Coach Eash about this weekend's football game before we chat a little bit of cross-country with Coach Huff and Annalese Chudy. Coach Smith, for the first time this season, welcome. Good to have you.
Good to be back, Tommy. It's been a while.
It has, and a very exciting day yesterday for the Titan and Redbird women's programs. It's for the second straight year. We got the little crosstown exhibition game over at CCIW, aka Redbird Arena. Takeaways, thoughts from that game?
No, it was just a great atmosphere, and we're always so grateful to Illinois State and everybody in that athletic department and the women's basketball program. They just do such a great job of welcoming us, and we didn't have a gym where we could practice on Saturday. So they opened up their arena for us a little bit. We were able to hop over there and shoot on the big court, and they just do such a great job of making us feel welcome over there. So we're very grateful for that. As for the game, really pleased with our performance. Really excited about where our program is headed for this year. I thought the way we battled, we got down 24, 25 points and then brought it back to within 10 in the second half. I just really like this team. I thought the atmosphere, like I said, was fun, a great place to play, and really ready to get to practice tomorrow.
Love it. Of course, the biggest thing you're always going to face when you see a Division I team in exhibition play that you won't see necessarily throughout most of the year is this mix of size and skill in the post.
Right.
It's a really hard thing to guard. And when you look at the guard play out in the perimeter and watching, a group of very experienced, very talented guards and perimeter shooters that we're throwing out there, it's fun to have a matchup like that because they can play with those girls. Well, they did for the last 4 years play against Elise Knudsen, of course, so that was a familiar face right there. But 6 threes for Mallory Powers, 20 points for her, 19 points and 5 dimes for Ava Bardick, 19 points for Lauren Huber, 13 for Kate, 9 points and 6 steals for Sawyer White, because why not throw a 6-steal mark up there in a game that doesn't even count? But were you able to kind of get everybody in the game at some point yesterday, I believe?
Everybody got on the floor. Because it was close, at 10 points with like 3 minutes to go, we were still trying to hang in there and play for the win, which is good for what our team needs to do at this point. But it was good to get everybody on the floor for just a couple of seconds. I think some of our reserves, Alyssa Epps hit a three-pointer at the very end. So there was some good stuff. Everybody got a taste of what it was like. And, this team, I don't think really is focused on who's on the floor. I think they just want to be involved with each other. I mean, it's really a team atmosphere for us. And I am enjoying this group tremendously.
Not shocked that you're saying that, but it's a good thing to hear, certainly at the start of the year. A year where there's going to be, from a lot of outside sources, very high expectations, and that you kind of, to some degree, have to shut out. But the expectations internally and kind of what the mindset is like from the player's perspective from a very, very veteran group.
True. We keep using the word seasoned. We've got a lot of experience. I think Katie Gonzalez said we return about 96 to 98% of our scoring and our rebounding. So, we have a really good positive outlook about where we are headed. But you hit it on the head. We've got to be careful what the outside world is saying about us and make sure we stay focused on being true to who we are and continuing to work every day and get better. Like, I was a little worried that we might be a little overconfident after playing ISU yesterday. But all the text messaging and some of the things that I've already heard this morning back at Shirk, they're ready to practice, ready to fix those few things that we need to do better at and just keep getting better every day. And I really think, Tommy, one of the things we've talked about with this group that's important is we are experienced, we are seasoned, we are good to start with. We were good last year. So now what do? because you're not going to make huge improvements. So our thing right now is daily small improvements every day. Find something small to get better at, and they're doing a great job with that.
Yeah, and that has to be the mentality right now, especially as you've kind of made it most of the way through the slog of, okay, we're practicing and we're not going to see the floor in any competitive game for a while. We've got, of course, the trip to Eastern Illinois next Monday, and then again, 11 days of waiting and practicing and being impatient before heading up to Hope on that Friday and Saturday, November 15th and 16th. But for a team that does return so much of what made the engine run last year, are there any particular things you're really looking for in terms of focus points in practice in the first couple weeks?
Sure. With the addition of Kate Bowman as our grad assistant who came over to us from Illinois State, who played in the post, our post emphasis, post defense, post ability to score, all those things are ramped up in practice right now. And we did feel like that was an area we needed to make a little bit better from last year. And, Katie Knutson, Lauren Huber, Laura, all those girls are doing a great job of really working hard in the post. And they're excited to have a true post coach, so to speak. And she's made a huge difference. So that's one of the aspects that we're trying to clean up. And then we know we have to be better. Our run and jump press is always somewhat effective. But our half-court defense, sometimes we lose sight of a closeout or close out too tightly and get blown by. So we've been working on half-court defense a lot.
Yeah, and Kate Palmer is really the one who stands up in my mind in the second half of last year, someone who took it upon herself to improve her defense a lot. I know we talked about that a little bit in the show. But I think, too, as you look at, those 7, 8, 9 spots in the rotation, I think the top 6 are largely, spoken for to a lot of degrees. But places that, freshmen, sophomores, even some juniors haven't played a lot can understand, well, this is how I can stand out in Coach Smith's game plan, is not just by being able to execute the run and jump well and knowing where I need to be at all times, but also by playing great defense out there, because ultimately, when 4 of those top 6 are off the court for a couple minutes, 3 of the top 6 off the court for any couple minutes at a given time, you need to not have holes in the defensive side of the floor. You're going to have several players out there who can score at any given time. And you got to make sure you protect the other end.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we've got 6 girls right now that we feel are have starter role positions. And I could even throw in, a 6.5. Sarah Balley's been playing great in practice. She's really shown a lot of improvement. Laura Malum is always a really good post defender, really quick, and can step out to guard the guard as well. So if we're switching everything, she's a great matchup for us to have in the ball game. So, and then along with Sawyer and Katie Knutson, it's going to be hard for me to pick a starting 5, and we've talked about that at length. And we're probably going to look at that a little bit from terms of who our opponent is and what the best matchups for us will be in that moment.
You got about halfway through that sentence, and I was going to ask you, might that starting 5 change pretty consistently throughout the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, based on what the other team is starting on the floor. So it makes a lot of sense. And when you look at that early season schedule, it's a pretty tough one, about as tough as you could draw up, but nothing necessarily out of the ordinary for the program. Heading up to face Calvin and Hope at the Hope Tip-Off Tournament, coming back home for Edgewood, and then hitting the road Tuesday before Thanksgiving at Whitewater. And then, of course, the Midwest Challenge the weekend after Thanksgiving, which is down in St. Louis this year, opening with DePauw on Saturday, and then facing either WashU or Holman on Sunday. You look at that opening 6 games, 4 or 5 top 25 teams likely in that mix. Titans, of course, ranked 10th as of this morning in the preseason poll, which, again, nice, but got to do the work and got to tune it out to some degree. And and how do you prepare the girls for that pretty daunting stretch of an opener?
That's definitely a one game at a time. And once that game is over, if there's something went wrong, you got to fix it, find out what it was that you got to fix it, and then move on to the next game. But it's a brutal schedule. I mean, I've always played a really tough preseason, I guess, non-conference schedule. But I think this might be the toughest one in all the years that I've been here. So, but it's the right team to have for that. So we'll see where we're at. And again, I know these girls are going to rise to the challenge. They're excited about who we're playing.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned while we were sitting here before we started filming, and we talked a little bit about Kate already, but that you've really enjoyed the way the staff has come together early in the season.
I am blessed. There is no doubt. You know, Coach Brian Ersman has been with me. This is his 4th year here, and then adding Coach Kate from Illinois State, and then we added a former WashU player in Sammy Matush, who we recruited very heavily. They just are brilliant in practice. They work on every aspect of the game. The film prep and the scout prep for ISU could not have been more perfect. Outsize there, that's the reason why we lost the ball game, the physical part of the game, no doubt. But the way they are approaching practice, I would love to be a player on this team and have those people at my disposal to help me work on my game, because they're so eager. Somebody say, I want to get shots up, they're the first 2 down on the floor, Coach B and Coach Kate. And then Sammy brings in what she does. She's one of the quietest coaches I've ever had, but when she speaks, her words are so perfectly timed for what we need. And then, you know, Coach Cusack has been with me for a long time as well, and having his energy and enthusiasm on the court's always been helpful too. So really blessed.
Yeah, and when you talk about, you know, Kate working with the post players more often than anything else during practice, do you have any really formally defined roles within the rest of the staff?
Yeah, pretty much. So Coach B works with the guards when we break down posts and guards. Coach B, Coach Ersman, he takes the guards, and Coach Bowman takes the post players. I'm in charge of the run and jump defense for sure. I do most of the offenses. Coach B has a couple that are really his. When it comes to scout, Coach B and Coach Kate are working really hard together. Last year it was mostly Coach B would put together the format, and then I would add my 2 cents, and whoever else wanted to chime in there would do the same.
Okay. I think those are kind of fun little windows. Sometimes you're looking in and you don't see any of the game prep or scouting side or anything when you just show up and watch the game and see what happens on the floor. So, yeah, it'll be really exciting to see the Titans in action for sure, for real, coming up here in a couple weeks. But once again, for those who want to head out to Eastern, that is Monday, 11/4, just as 6 days after this will air, I guess, at 6 p.m., and then a little bit longer to wait before the official games start. But good luck with everything. Thanks for having us. And
happy to be here, Tommy, and thanks for all you do for us.
Absolutely.
Always appreciated.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
They say inside every challenge is an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you have the power to seize that opportunity. Discover the tools, the mentors, and the experiences to take on any challenge and shape not just who you are, but who you will become. The best college in Illinois for jobs is right here. Tap or click now to start your free application and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Welcome back. Our second guest of the afternoon is Titan head football coach Norm Eash. Coach, welcome back. How are we doing today?
Well, after the game on Saturday, we're licking our wounds a little bit, and we're moving forward. So it was a disappointing game. We went up to North Park, led most of the game, and just didn't finish it at the end. And so, you know, we are going through some situations where our players really want to win. I mean, I know that they want to win. We just got to learn how to win, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I think you've got a lot of alumni who were sitting there watching the Bears game on Sunday thinking, I know exactly what that feels like as well. But yeah, 14-0 in the first quarter after the 51-yard pass and a 52-yard largely screen pass that Myles turned into a 52-yard touchdown pass. You got to feel good about that, getting off to that start, and it's not necessarily been the game script that's the Titans have followed a lot of the years, jumping out to an early lead and then struggling to hang on toward the end. But
yeah, we came out. We had some explosive plays, and Myles was part of both of those plays actually. And he had a great day. He had over 100 yards receiving, and And I thought we took control of the game early. We were up 14-0 and grabbed momentum. And then we kind of let them get back in on some big plays defensively. And that's been a situation we've had, in our other previous games, is being on top, giving up big play, letting the team back in. And I think the key part of the game was when we were up 24-14, our kickoff team came up with a big turnover. And offensively, we didn't produce. We got down the red zone, went on a 4th and 1, and didn't get no points out of that. So that was disappointing because we could have went up 31-14. That's a three touchdown lead, and maybe put the game away at that time, and we just didn't. And we fought very hard at the very end. We got the ball back and went into 2-minute offense 3 times, and then threw 3 interceptions at the very end. So I was hoping for the same results that the Bears had, the Hail Mary pass, but actually we had pretty good protection all day, and the defensive end comes around, and Dermott wasn't able to get the ball up in the air to even get in the end zone for a Hail Mary. But it was exciting. Just came up on the short end of the stick, at the game.
Yeah, and you look at North Park actually able to put a couple long touchdown drives together in the second half, but again, the one that comes back and haunts a little bit is the 80-yard Jeremy Mbogo touchdown catch right there. Was the one that made it 24-21.
And the timing on that, you got to understand. The kickoff team got the fumble. We got the ball in the red zone, went on a 4th and 1, didn't get it, and then 3 plays later they go over the top and get it to make it 24-21.
Almost the exact same thing. I think we sat here a few weeks ago after WashU and homecoming talking about a sequence in about 30 seconds that was that very same thing, which is tough. But again, when you go down with 5 minutes to play and you get the ball back 3 times, it says a lot about the defensive effort at the end of the game right there, that you're able to force. I think it was 2 punts, correct, from the North Park offense on their last 2 drives, on the 4 and 2 minute marks roughly. Ben Butler, a bit of a pain in the North Park secondary there at the very end of the game, certainly. And that final drive starting at your own 12 with 1:18 to go, probably as sharp and well-oiled as the offense looked for a lot of the day. In that last 1:18 seconds, got down to the 29, had a chance, just ran out of time.
Well, the other part of that too is in the 4th quarter, after they closed the gap 24-21, they went on a 18-play drive.
Yep.
And that was aided by 2 face mask penalties, an offside, and
pass interference.
Mm-hmm. And so they had the ball a long time in that 4th quarter, and we didn't get it back until I think 4:49, I think, on the clock, and then we had our chances at the very end to do something with it, and we didn't. So again, we got to manage games better, and that's on us, and that's not on the other team. I mean, they played hard. They were going to play hard. They're having a great year, and I thought our players played hard. And like I said, our players want to win, and we just got to find a way to get that done.
Yeah, and the tough part when you talk about that 18-play drive, 4 penalties, but 3 of those penalties in a goal-to-go situation. And it gets difficult to overcome when you're given a perfectly competent offense, half the distance to the goal or 1st and goal on the 1 after pass interference.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask to be able to stop that. It is. In particular, game through the air, as we talked about for Dermott, 19 for 41, but a couple of big days from wide receivers. We talked, of course, about Myles Key, the 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, 6 catches for 127 overall. Jimmy Deasy, nice game, 7 catches for 85 as well. 3 catches for Jahari on the ground, 3 for Trey for 45 yards. In a game where you're largely playing from ahead for most part, you didn't need to count on an overwhelmingly pass or run heavy game script one way or the other. What'd you see out of Dermott in the passing game?
Well, Dermott is getting better every game. He's a sophomore and he's learning, and going into the season, I was hoping that he would really understand our offense, and I think he's doing that every week more and more, and that's going to be very advantageous to us as in the future and in the next 3 games. But what happened in the game a little bit, we got in first and 10 and then second and 10. And our first down production has to be better. I believe we were 4 for 14 in third down conversions, and that's not good enough. They were 10, I think they were 10 for 20 actually, so they're 50%, which is really, really good. So we got to be better there so we don't have to come back with that perfect play on a second and long or third and long. It's a lot better when you're second and short and third and medium. So those are things that we have to do better, and he has to do better as our quarterback. But we have to, as coaches, we have to put our kids in the right position too. We got to put them in position to be successful. So they played a lot of man-to-man, and when you do that, you got to win your one-on-one battles. And we got to get better at that. We did win some of those battles. I mean, we had some receivers make some really good catches, but then there's other times that they distract us enough that we didn't get the catch made. And again, it's big plays when you go against man-to-man. So we got to regroup, getting ready for coming back home. It'll be good to get off the road. North Park's a tough road trip just because their facilities and inner Chicago and so forth. So it'll be great to get back to Tucci Stadium.
Yeah, already down to just one road trip left. 2 more home games for those who want to come out and catch the Titans this Saturday. 1 p.m. kickoff against Augustana at Tucci. And then the final road trip of the year up to Carroll, and then closing things out against North Central for Senior Day. So good luck this weekend against Augustana, Coach, and good to have you as always.
We got to get back on track, and we will this week. There's a lot of incentive for our kids, a lot to play for. We want to finish the best we can, and that's got to start with Augustana.
Yeah. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you out there at Tucci and the rest watching the live stream this Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
They say inside every challenge is an opportunity. At Illinois Wesleyan, you have the power to seize that opportunity. Discover the tools, the mentors, and the experiences to take on any challenge and shape not just who you are, but who you will become. The best college in Illinois for jobs is right here. Tap or click now to start your free application and break through at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Next 2 guests, we talk a little bit more football this afternoon. Our Titan seniors, Myles Key from St. Louis, Sam Schott from West Lafayette. And we'll start with Sam, and I want to chat with you just a little bit about the game on Saturday first from the defensive perspective. Obviously, facing an offense that's improved greatly over the last 3-4 years, as you've probably seen in North Park. Mbogo in particular, a threat, a wide receiver, and somebody that you need to have your eye on, at least at all times where he is on the field. What was your particular game plan going in, both from a linebacker's perspective and just from the captain of the defense perspective?
Linebacker room, big focus for the week was just making sure we're reading our keys right. They had a lot of motion flying around in the backfield, so making sure we didn't get distracted by any of that and just get to the gaps we were supposed to be. In terms of a whole defense, eliminating the big plays, always kind of been our theme throughout the entire season, specifically this week. Obviously didn't execute that one as well as the first, but that'll be something we need to just improve on going forward. As if we can keep those big plays to a minimum, I think we have a great defense that can go out and perform, but if you give offenses those opportunities, then it's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, certainly, and when you've got an offense that's got a couple of big play threats there too, just it makes it a little bit more difficult, just play to play, because you've got a couple guys who are breakaway threats at any given time, certainly. When you're looking at, take North Central out of things, that's a couple weeks down the line, but when you're looking at Augustana and Carroll next up on the schedule, really, coming down to the last couple of games here with probably a linebacking core that's played together for as long as any group I can come up with in my brain at Wesley in terms of the sheer number of games you guys have played together as a whole over 4 years. In terms of working together with both the secondary and the defensive line, how much does that experience really help you guys in terms of game prep, knowing that you're not working with 2 or 3 freshmen and guys who have come in at various different times?
I think it really helps because, a lot of the times from year to year we'll use the same not the same, but a similar game plan because it worked the previous year. And, if teams return the same players or same coaches, they're going to be doing the same concepts. So we've already worked through them together. We had a lot of guys in our senior class now who were able to get playing time early, and adjusting to college is definitely a rough thing, especially on the field. And so the fact that we don't have to necessarily deal with that now with so many seniors starting on our defense, it does help with making sure we're always in the right spots. And we've seen a lot of different plays, trick plays, formations, so we feel a lot more comfortable out there, less of a tendency to freak out because we've been there before.
Yeah, North Park attempted, 3 laterals on that one. I'm struggling to remember when it was, but I remember it happened.
Yeah, that was something we went over in practice, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so we knew it was coming because they'd done it earlier in the season, and Artis made a great play on the ball. We were able to defend it well, so just things like that a young core would, I don't know if they'd be able to handle it as well as an experienced core.
Yeah, not going to bite on the mess in the backfield.
Absolutely.
And when you've got a senior captain of defense back down the field is ready for it and waiting. Yeah. Myles, from the offensive standpoint, as we count down these last 3 games in the season here, any particular things, obviously getting off to a really fast start this week against North Park, and knowing you're going to need some points on the board in each of the next 3 games against offenses that I realize Augustana graduated a lot last year, but they can still put plenty of points up, and certainly Carroll and North Central are capable of doing the same. Anything in particular that you really want to see continue to iron out on the offensive side of the ball over these last 3 weeks here?
Just execution. I think when all 11 players on offense, when we execute, we execute at a high level. When everyone's doing their job, I think we're a great offense who can make a lot of great plays. So I think just execution and then also making the big play. I think we sometimes haven't made a big play when we could have, and then that kind of leads us to leaving points out on the field. So I think our 2 main things to focus on is just execution as a whole, as like a whole unit, and then making the big play.
Yeah. When you look at, practice time at this point in the season, you hope you're able to send your A offense out there to work together every day. Mm-hmm. The reality is you get to the beginning of November and enough guys are banged up that doesn't always happen necessarily. Health-wise, ability to be on the field together Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, how are we looking as an offense at this point?
I mean, honestly, we're looking pretty good. I don't think of any injuries off the top of my head to any of the core guys, all the starting guys in the offense. So I think it's just really hitting it hard in practice, doing what we can. I know some of us, obviously you're going to have that soreness. You're going to be hurt here and there, but just pushing through that and having a great practice week leading up to Augie.
Yeah. So a little bit of, off-the-field stuff as we get set to wind down our final season here at Wesleyan. Sam, I know we were talking a little bit before we went on the air, and we actually do have plans lined up for the future. So tell us a little about those.
Yeah, so I wrap up here in December. I'm graduating a semester early, and I'll be working for an insurance company based out of Rosemont, Illinois, doing actuarial science work. I interned for them this summer. It was a great opportunity and was very fortunate to receive that return offer, so I accepted that. And so once football wraps up, I'll try and find a place to go live up there. There's a lot of different options, so find something close to work, and then I'll start full-time in January, so looking forward to that.
I wonder if that was a January start, if you got a little time in there, but right away?
Yeah, it's late January, so I'll have roughly a month and a half off to, gather myself and take a little rest before going at it. But I'm excited to get started. I had a really positive environment when I worked there these 3 months over the summer, and so looking forward to it.
How long do you give it before it's 3:30 and you're sitting at your desk and wondering why you're not going to football practice?
I'm sure that'll be a big adjustment for me. Sports has been a major part of my life, and so it's something I'm going to miss, but there's also that side of me that's going to really look forward to not being so sore on Sunday morning. So
yep.
It's got its give and takes, and going to miss it, but next chapter in life, so I'm really excited for it.
Being able to walk up the stairs at a normal pace like a normal human being on a Sunday is underrated sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any plans to stay involved in football and sports at some point after you graduate, or kind of see where that leads?
Probably see where that goes. It's a pretty strict 9-to-5 schedule for the profession I'm going into, so not a lot of flexibility there. But I'm sure I'm going to get that bug after a few years if I want to get back into it, and so definitely would be open to an opportunity. But at the moment, just going to see where this takes me and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and that was something we really hadn't hit on at all with you when you were on the show a couple weeks ago, is once your playing days are over, any particular plans to stay with the game at all?
I mean, I've always thought about it. Probably when I go back, I'd love to help coach my high school team. I mean, they played a big part in the development of as an athlete and the person I am today. So, love to give back to them if I have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's probably one of the coolest things you can see as a high school football player too. Is somebody, I mean, especially when you're talking about schools where not every single player on that roster is going to go to college, is going to play college football, is going to necessarily see the success that either of you have seen throughout your 4 years. To have that role model as a 23, 24, 25-year-old coming back and saying, this wasn't me that long ago, and just one of many paths, because I know it can be easy sometimes as a 15, 16-year-old to get sucked in, okay, well, there's the Big Ten and the SEC if I want to play college sports. And otherwise there isn't anything, and the reality is that's pretty far from the truth, to say the least. Yeah. And are you planning to move back down to St. Louis after you graduate? Is that the plan?
Yeah, probably stay with the family a couple years, save up a little money, and then we'll see where I go from there. But yeah, St. Louis, excited to go back home. Missed it a lot, so yeah, I'll be back there probably after I graduate.
Good deal. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, 1 p.m. kickoff this Saturday against Augustana at home. Come on up to Chuchi. Check out these two and the rest of their teammates. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you.
It's time to play Did You Know with Illinois Wesleyan. First off, true or false, on average, over half of tuition for accepted students is covered by scholarships and grants. True, IWU invests more than $40 million in scholarships and grants for students each year. Where has IWU ranked in highest earning graduates among small schools in Illinois? If you guessed number 1, you got it. And what's even better, IWU is the number 1 college in Illinois for getting a job and number 7 in the nation. Last question, how much does it cost to apply to Illinois Wesleyan? If you said nothing, well, you're right. There's absolutely no application fee. So what are you waiting for? Visit, apply, and see all the opportunities for success that await you at Illinois Wesleyan University.
Rule of thumb.
I am your father.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Welcome back. Our final guests of the day, Annalese Chudy and Coach Gregg Huffaker from the cross-country teams. Actually, 2 athletes, I believe, given that Coach Huff has recently made quite the cross-country run of his own to get up here. What was the time shirk to Ames today?
It's just over 3 minutes, and if I still look red in the face, that is why. It's the longest run that I've done in a long, long time.
And why did it need to be that fast?
Because Coach Huff forgot about today's little interview funness.
Well, the speed is impressive, I will say. We were all pretty shocked that you made it here that quickly. We actually had a little bit of a plan to be all asleep on the desk when you got here, but you were too quick, and that did not come together. People who have not been asleep on the desk this fall, Annalese Chudy, senior cross-country season. How are the legs feeling so far? Healthy-ish, hopefully, for the most part this year?
Yeah, healthy-ish. Trying to just make sure I've got a little bit of a calf thing, so just trying to make sure I'm feeling good going into conference. So, yeah. But good overall.
Excellent. This is good news. Want to talk a little bit first about Augustana Interregional Invitational back on the 19th, so 9 days ago from when we're filming this. Big site of the Midwest Regional coming up in a few weeks. Nick Fish, the top finisher for the women, for the men, Adriana for the women, Maddie Morgan and Annalese the next two for the women, and Jack Thomas and Seth Hamersky the next two for the men. Takeaways from that?
It was a great meet, lots of great competition, and I felt like we competed well. We were still in a heavy phase of training, and so not really backing down to just chase results, but we wanted to be in a competitive field on the course that'll host the regional championship. And when I watched us out there competing, I felt like everyone battled. So it's like any team competition. You can relate very well in swimming. Sometimes you get the time that you felt like you worked for, and sometimes we had to focus on process and compete. And so from top to bottom, I felt everyone competed really, really well. And just some were really on that day, and some were okay. But I thought it was a good overall team result, and really like how we put into plan the things that we've talked about wanting to execute in a competition.
And that is a course you've seen at least a couple times before, is that correct, out at Saukey Golf Course?
Yeah, that one we usually go to about every year. And then I think that was regionals my freshman year. So it'll be regionals again this year, which is always good to see the course before and in the season.
Do you have a preference out of between that, St. James, thinking of a couple courses that you see 6-7 times throughout your career? Any things you really like or really don't like about any certain courses?
I mean, Augie's great because the footing's really good. And you can in the fall it's just beautiful. I think St. James has always been my favorite probably, but Augie's a great one, and I don't know, on a golf course, usually pretty fast. So I would say either of those.
I'm remembering this, a little bit of a side note. I'm remembering you ran one place last year. There was a ton of elevation changes, at least for you guys. Was this maybe 2 years ago now I'm thinking of? I'm trying to place what it would have been.
Would it maybe have been the Midwest, like the Northwest?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Batavia, Geneva area.
Yeah,
that was a tough
so.
one, tough cross-country course. Yeah, I'm sure they'll host again at some point, but that was a difficult course. We were at Terre Haute earlier this year, and it's deceivingly difficult. When we walk out there, it doesn't look that hard, but it's kind of up and down. It kind of twists in back on itself several times. And I think right in the middle, from 3K to 4K on the women's course, it's uphill almost that entire 1,000 meters. So it ends up being a challenging course also. But the conference championship course, the regional championship course are pretty flat and can produce a lot of fast times. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering a little bit about the Augustana course, just because in that area of the state, there is a lot of hills you can work with, so you can see some stuff like that. But it's not a golf course I've ever played either, so I wasn't sure.
Well, probably not the golf course that golfers are flocking to. And it's maintained well. They run great meets, and they avoid all of the hills for the runners. As a coach, when I try and get out there, like the 3-minute run here, they make me run up and down several rolling hills that are not appreciated for the coach. But it is a great course for the student athletes, and Augustana always hosts great meets. So, it's a great course.
Now we know what you were training for today, at least.
That's right.
So there you go. So heading into the CCW Championship this weekend, of course, once again up at St. James Farm in Warrenville, this time I believe officially hosted by North Park. Anything in particular that you were looking forward to first from a coaching perspective?
I think the women have an opportunity to win the CCIW. We've raced Wheaton twice. They've beat us twice. But I think that we have the pieces that we can challenge to win the conference. We came up just a few points short last year, and so I know for the ladies that's kind of top of mind. That's a goal of theirs. And on the guys' side, I think we have a chance to move up the ladder as well. No matter what place the guys finish, the progress that they've made from last year to this year has been remarkable. They have really committed to the off-season training. They have really committed to everything that we've done this season, and so really proud of the development and progress that they've made. But I know that no matter how it turns out, both teams are going to show up. They're going to compete really hard, and they're going to battle for the best finish that we can possibly have, because that's what they've done all year. They've really shown up prepared. They've shown up and worked hard, been focused, and really supported and encouraged each other. So I'm super proud, but excited for what I think the results can also say for the progress that they've made over the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And Annalese, from your perspective as not just you individually, but as a team leader, anything to add to that, or is it really just a matter at this point of let's put the best performance we can together as a team and see what happens?
Yeah, I think that for sure. I think, like Coach Huff said, we lost by just a couple points last year, which I know for us was a lot, very, frustrating a little bit. So I think coming into this year we were a little fired up, and I think this is the time of the year where we're going to really start to feel good, and I think we'll, as a team, going in, I think we're all really excited to, run for each other, and yeah, it's going to be fun.
And what does your training, or to some degree lack thereof, look like in these last few days going into CCIWs?
Yeah, it's not drastically different this week. We're just trimming back a little bit, right? We're just a little less volume, a little less intensity, but not a lot, and just helping their bodies be a little bit more rested. This is the time of year that we've focused on from day one to try to be at our best physically and mentally for the conference and regional championship. And so just small fine-tune adjustments, right? We've seen performances throughout the year from different individuals that, for me, build lots of excitement and confidence because I see what they do daily. And so when one person pops it, I know that there's a lot that are ready to do it. So I don't think we need to do a lot different because they've crushed it all year, but we just pull back just a little bit this week to help them bodies and minds just feel a little bit fresher.
Yeah. So Annalese, now that we're getting close to the end of the final cross-country season in particular, still got some stuff in the spring, but as you look back, track, cross-country, everything you do other than that at Wesleyan, any particular favorite memories that really stand out from your 4 years?
I guess just thinking about, I would say, honestly, just the day-to-day, really, going to practice at 4:15, and just, the jokes and the banter. I think that's been really fun. But I think, one particular memory was probably last year coming back and qualifying for nationals with Adriana. I think that sticks out to me for sure. And just, getting to go to Pennsylvania was really fun. And with Alita and Huff, just, I don't know, all the fun that we had there. So I think that probably, yeah.
Hard to argue with that one, I guess. And do you know for sure what we're doing after graduation, or still some potential options up in the air?
Yeah, so at this point I'm kind of thinking PA school or medical school, so we'll see. But my mind is usually changing pretty frequently, but as of now I'm pretty set on one of those two, I think.
It'll be a new Titan Table Talk feature, a daily, 12-second clip at the end of every episode. What is Annalese thinking this week about the rest of her life?
I'd enjoy that.
I think everybody except Annalese will probably enjoy that. I'm going to file that one away.
Okay.
If only to play a joke on you. At some point, we might just pull you back in here for one question and call it a day. At any rate, good luck with everything this weekend. Very excited to see how it all goes. Is it noon and 12:45, or the two race starts?
Yep.
And who's first?
Women first.
Okay. Women at noon, men at 12:45, St. James Farm up in Warrenville. If you live right there and want to stop by and cheer on the Titans, they'll be there. If not, you'll have full stories and everything posted at iwsports.com later in the afternoon as soon as results get sent that way. So good luck to both of you. Can't wait to see everything that happens this weekend.
Thanks, Tom.